The moon watches, even when you think you're alone. It has always watched, through fog, through fire, through the silence of dying worlds. There was a time when the veil between realms held strong. A sacred light, a promise sealed in blood and silence. But promises fade, and the veil, frays. What lies beyond it is not asleep. It is patient, ancient, it has been waiting, watching, for a crack. Because shadows never sleep forever. Evan Hartwell didn't choose this destiny, it chose him. Trained since childhood, guarded by silence, haunted by prophecy. He was raised within stone walls, where whispered rituals replaced lullabies, and swords weighed heavier than words. Every scar on his hands tells a story. No one was allowed to speak. They taught him to fight, to kneel, to sacrifice. But they never taught him how to carry the weight of a dying world. The veil is failing. The signs are everywhere. And Evan feels it, not with his eyes, but in his blood. The legacy he inherited was never meant for one soul to bear. But the light is fading, and there's no one else left to hold the line. Raised among monks and myths, he was never told the full truth. They shaped his days with order. Before he could walk, he was bowed in prayer. Before he could read, he was reciting invocations in languages no longer spoken. While other children played, Evan studied the anatomy of beasts long since banished. While others dreamed, he memorized diagrams of constellations that no longer aligned. His hands blistered before they could steady. His shoulders bore the weight of ritual robes before they could carry the weight of choice. They taught him how to hold a blade, but never told him what it would cost to use it. They said he was chosen. A guardian, a light in the dark. But Evan didn't feel chosen. He felt prepared, like a weapon waiting to be unsheathed. The truth of the veil was always kept just out of reach. Hidden behind ancient doors, locked in silence, and when it began to fracture, when the darkness stirred for the first time in centuries, the rituals they clung to were no longer enough. She stepped from the silence, cloaked not in armor, but in secrets. Lira Thornfield, scholar, survivor, a blade forged in knowledge, tempered by loss. Where others saw myth, she sought meaning. Where others turned away, she read deeper, into pages most feared to touch. She didn't come looking for answers. She brought them with her, etched in ink, buried in forgotten tongues, burned into memory by fire and blood. The Codex called to her first. Its symbols, its warnings, and she knew what Evan was. Even before he did. The veil is breaking, the old protections are dying. And Lira, she's the last one who remembers how it was meant to hold. She doesn't trust easily. She doesn't believe in fate. But she believes in Evan. At first, there was only silence. Then the forest began to rot. The mist refused to lift. And the ground remembered blood. They don't speak. They don't breathe. They do not need to. The Nithral are not beasts. They are memory twisted into hunger. Shadows given form, born of a breach in the veil. They are the first echo of a world we were never meant to touch. They walk as if in dream. Silent, patient, relentless, eyes glowing with cursed fire. Flesh like bark, cracked and bleeding power. Antlers grown from a forest long dead. The monks wrote of them in riddles. The Codex warned of their return. Now they rise, not as invaders, but as reclaimers. They are not coming, they are already here. And she knew what Evan was. Even before he did. The veil is breaking, the old protections are dying. And Lira, she's the last one who remembers how it was meant to hold. She doesn't trust easily. She doesn't believe in fate. But she believes in Evan. They've trained for ceremony. They've studied for peace. But none of them were ever prepared for war. Not this kind. Not against what moves now in the dark. The veil groans with every passing hour. Its ancient strength cracking like old stone. The Nithral are no longer whispers in dusty halls. No longer nightmares locked in old scripture. They have names now, shapes, eyes that glow like embers in the trees. And so Evan sharpens his blade in silence, knowing steel alone cannot save him. Lira, her hand stained with ink and ash, draws the last of the binding sigils. Her voice doesn't tremble, but her heart does. They do not speak. They do not need to. In this moment, they are no longer students of the light. They are its final guardians. The forest holds its breath. The monastery, empty, echoing with ghosts. And far off, beneath the blood-washed sky, a shriek splits the stillness. This night will end in blood. The moon is rising. The air is still. And somewhere, just beyond the trees, the Nithral are waiting. It has begun. There is an old prophecy, older than the monastery walls, older than the veil itself. When the moon bleeds, the veil will fail. Not with fire, not with war, but with memory, twisted and unleashed. The Codex called it the sundering, the night when light will turn away, and the darkness will speak its true name. The monks feared it, the elders denied it, and now, the sky remembers. A blood moon hangs overhead, vast and silent, watching, waiting. Each ritual that once held the veil together is unraveling. Each name once used to banish the dark now echoes, unanswered. The veil is not cracking, it is breaking, and on the other side, something is waking up. They came with no warning, no trumpet, no banner, just silence, then screaming. The monastery stood for centuries, built on sacred ground, warded, watched, believed to be untouchable, but belief is not protection. The Nithral breached the walls like mist through cracks. One moment, stillness. The next, chaos. Steel clashed, magic burned, sigils once etched in protection burst into flames and ash. Monks fell with prayers on their lips. Or worse, their throats stolen before the words could rise. Evan fought like a man possessed. Lira stood like fire given form. But even fire can be swallowed. And for a moment, just a moment, the veil trembled so violently, they all thought it would shatter. This was not a battle. It was a reckoning, the first answer to a prophecy ignored for too long. When swords fail, and light cannot hold, there is only the old magic. Whispered in dead languages, written in blood and ink, cast not in power, but in sacrifice. The ritual of binding, forbidden, forgotten, and now, their only hope. Evan stands before the Codex. The glyphs around him blaze to life, not in response to knowledge, but to need. Lyra's voice trembles as she speaks the final incantation. Her hands shake, not from fear, but from knowing the cost. The veil flickers, the shadows recoil. For one breath, the world remembers what it was before the breach. But magic this old, always demands something in return. The veil is breaking, and the moon remembers everything. This is the beginning, the first descent into shadow, the first name written in the Codex. Join Evan and Lira in a fight against the forgotten, against the things that should never have returned. The Nithral have risen, and only together can they be stopped. The Moon's Curse, Awakening. Now available in paperback and hardcover. Are you ready for the awakening?